I don't judge. I was ready to risk it for the biscuit, ladies. Alrighty, so today we're going to be doing a chit chat and slash reaction video. I want to incorporate a lot of the shows that I have watched over the years and give you guys my thoughts. I watch a lot of TV, so I wanted to incorporate that into my videos and give you guys my thoughts on these shows, whether they're worth it or not. And I'm going to be using these videos in order to jog my memory as to what happened, because I watch so much content that sometimes I just forget. So let's jump right in. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 365. So let's jump into that one.
Having done as many of these videos,
this is definitely going to be an unpopular opinion. I already know. So let's look at it.
You know, having done as many of these videos as I have, you'd think I'd be pretty much numb to everything at this point. I mean, I've done every Twilight movie, the first two 50 Shades movies, I even sat through every episode of Riverdale, alright? I was pretty sure that I was invincible. But then one day, Netflix just had to show up and right in my face. So 365 Days is a Polish movie that came out on Netflix recently to rave reviews. Basically, it's kind of like a social experiment to see if anyone could possibly make 50 Shades of Grey even worse, somehow. And slight spoilers, but they definitely succeeded. So let's take a walk. First things first, we gotta meet our main characters. This guy is Massimo, a tall, dark, and handsome Italian mafia boss, dude, man, guy, who whispers pretty much every single line in the entire movie. And the girl in our story is Laura, a Polish, fast-talking, no-nonsense executive who makes this face a lot. Now, the thing about her, as you may be shocked to learn, is that recently she's become kind of disillusioned with her boyfriend, and she's just looking for some excitement. You know, like every girl in every romance movie since, like, ever.
No i z twoim serduszkiem lepiej, żeby się nie forsowała.
Rejected.
So after a really long, drawn-out intro that goes on for about 15 minutes and tells us basically nothing about anything, we flash forward to Laura going to Italy for her 29th birthday. Now, the first night, she's hanging out with her friends and her boyfriend. Everyone's singing happy birthday and, you know, all that stuff that you just love doing when you're almost 30. But she heads out for a second to go to the bathroom, and this is when our story finally gets going.
That dress is so amazing on her. Oh my goodness.
Are you lost, baby girl?
That line!
You know, I'm pretty sure there's no context in which "Are you lost, baby girl" would not be the creepiest thing any woman's ever heard. But anyway.
If you look like that, it would not be creepy at all. See, she even looks back. Just wait for it. Yep, there it is.
You know, this is something that happens in every movie, but I always crack myself up thinking about how anyone would actually do this. Like, the girl runs into this handsome man of mystery and then turns her back for 3 seconds and the guy's just like, huh! Anyway, so the next day we come to find out that Laura's boyfriend left her by herself from the morning on her own birthday to go and do something that I wasn't really paying attention to. And naturally, she's not too happy about it.
O Jezu, weź się nie denerwuj, dobrze? Przecież wiesz, że z twoim sercem nie powinnaś.
Ty spierdalaj z moim sercem. Obchodzi cię coś bardziej niż ty sam siebie?
That is not actually
Ja o ciebie nie dbam?
And then the entire rest of the day, apparently, she puts on her pajamas and wanders around whatever city they're in all night like some kind of 90s music video, until this happens.
Oh, Alex. Well, I'm sure it's all gonna be fine. Now, the next day, I think, she wakes up locked in a castle, which is not a joke, by the way. This is actually what happens in the movie. But then that night, someone comes and unlocks the door, leaving Belle to explore the Beast's castle all by herself. And that's when the movie goes from to
Are you lost, baby girl?
Would you freaking stop? I mean, when I first saw this dude, like, come on, tall, dark, handsome, he's rich, like, I thought it was gonna be some kind of dreamboat or something, you know what I mean? But then he opens his mouth and just turns into Gilligan. Anyway, so he throws out the baby girl line once again, and the scene keeps going.
Answer me.
Sit down.
I'm not your property.
Ooh, toss me around like that. See what happens.
Well, I'm just swinging in the dark here, but I'm guessing it's because no one around you is allowed to say no, ever?
He's brooding. He's in the corner just brooding.
What I'm about to tell you is so incredible that
Okay, not to get ahead of you here, but every time a guy says he wants to tell me or show me something incredible, I usually come out of it pretty disappointed, alright? So this better be a real zinger. So Massimo tells us this story about how 5 years ago his dad was killed due to some mafia business, and Massimo was also hurt in the kerfuffle. But apparently before this all went down, he saw Laura on the beach, and he's been looking for her around the world ever since. Yeah, so it turns out this entire movie is just one long, glorified Craigslist misconnections ad, you know? Like, I mean, this whole thing could have just as easily been like, I saw you in line at Costco, you have brown hair, and your cart was full of more bulk ibuprofen than I've ever seen in my entire life. You made eye contact with me for like half a second, so please respond with what color stain I had on my shirt. Anyway, so
I love his animation.
Laura gives us a pretty reasonable reaction.
Nobody owns me. I'm not an object.
I'm not your property.
You can't have me just like that. Kidnap me and think that I am all yours.
I know.
I know.
That's why I'm giving you a chance to fall in love with me.
Okay.
What does that even...
Looking back at it,
prove how
it
serious
is a
he is,
little
he gives her an
cringe.
oh so generous offer regarding the whole falling in love thing.
You have 365 days. I'll do anything so you can fall in love with me. If next year on your birthday nothing changes, I'll set you free.
Alright, so I'm gonna kidnap you and keep you for a whole year, and if you still don't fall in love with me, I'll set you free, cause, you know, I'm such a nice guy.
Stockholm Syndrome, making it work for me.
You know, having covered as many of these kinds of movies as I have, I've noticed that almost every single one of them is like, ladies, imagine your worst nightmare. Like getting kidnapped, having a boyfriend who controls everything about your life and stares at you while you sleep every night, or dating a guy who watches the Fast and Furious movies unironically. Whatever. Now imagine if all this stuff happened to you, but the guy was attractive. I've been stuck inside so long, at this point, I'll date anyone. Anyway, so the next morning, Laura wakes up in her room.
True. Quarantine struggles.
How are you feeling?
What is up with this dude? I mean, like, what if Laura had one of those mid-wake-up farts, you know? Like, come on, give a girl some space, alright? So the movie goes on like this for a while, and we keep getting reassured that Massimo has absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Like seriously, this guy makes Christian Grey look like a Disney prince. They keep having these conversations where it's just like, I want French fries. Well, I want chili fries. What? And this is like most of the movie. But anyway, so Laura's slowly starting to come around after she realizes that she literally has no other choice, and she does that thing every girl does, you know, where you just kind of play along and hope not to die.
She's
So
a
what do
sassy
you
thing.
actually do?
I do business.
I'm sorry. I just love how these kinds of movies, the guy is always someone who, like, does business stuff and yet somehow has endless amounts of free time. Like, where do I sign up for that job? But anyway, so then finally Massimo opens up to Laura, and we get to know what the point of all this really is.
I'm really subdued here.
I'd like you
Okay.
to teach me how to be gentle.
What the heck does that even mean? Is that not just word for word a line from Beauty and the Beast? What is this movie? And of course, Laura's outside reaction is instead of what she's really thinking, which is, why do I gotta fix you? For what do I get out of it? I don't got time to fix some sad boy. Go fix yourself. I got things to do. So much like 50 Shades of Grey or any of these other kinds of movies, things just go on like this for a while, where there's a lot of back and forth between Massimo and Laura. They keep playing these games with each other, and somehow we're supposed to believe that this no-nonsense, down-to-earth 29-year-old business executive is sort of kind of starting to a little bit maybe fall for a guy who says and does things like this.
Are you lost, baby girl? Are you lost, baby girl? You had the bad reaction to the sedative. I didn't know you have a heart problem. That's why I'm giving you a chance to fall in love with me.
Because, I mean, let me tell you, I've tried doing and saying all this same stuff before, and the only thing I have to show for it is, like, now I have to introduce myself to my neighbors. Now, the big turning point of the movie comes when they're on a boat, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, and they have a big fight because earlier, Laura messed up a really big business deal for Massimo. And she gets so upset that she falls off the boat and almost drowns in, like, 4 seconds somehow, and Massimo jumps in to save her.
the boat scene. Oh my gosh.
I'm so grateful that you're alive, but at the same time I want to kill you.
You saved me.
Thanks God that was so close. Why are you so disobedient?
Big ol' red flag!
Now this moment is when Laura realizes that, yeah, you know, like this Massimo guy may have kidnapped her, forced her to do whatever he says, doesn't let her have contact with the outside world, and plagiarizes cheesy lines from 90s Disney movies. But he's nice sometimes, so golly gee, I guess it's true love. Also, just a quick tip, if you do end up watching this movie, I don't care who or where you are, your parents will absolutely walk in the room during this boat scene. But anyway, so now they're all buddy-buddy. Skipping ahead a little bit, due to a variety of reasons, there's some tension among the mafia families, with Massimo having to take over for his dad, and now Laura's kind of like getting in the middle of everything. And long story short, Laura gets sent back to Poland with no communication or anything from anyone for quite a while, apparently. So she catches up with her old friends and gets a total makeover, because, you know, sometimes you just gotta live, laugh, love, you know what I'm saying? And runs into her old boyfriend, and, you know, things are just kind of all over the place for a while.
Nie mamy o czym ze sobą rozmawiać, nie. Powiedziałyśmy już wszystko to, co miałeś do powiedzenia, teraz mnie zostaw samą. Ja chcę zostać sama, do widzenia. Do widzenia.
Well, I don't understand what you two are saying. But it's rather clear that she wants you to leave.
True.
So then her old boyfriend is all like, harumph, and walks away, leaving Laura and Massimo to once again do the old devil's tango. And after that's over, we get the emotional climax of the movie.
I don't need 365 days.
Because
I love you.
excuse me.
And then almost immediately after this, Massimo asks her to marry him, and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Now, the very end of the movie, I'm just going to summarize a couple things here. Laura's friend comes to be her bridesmaid, and as they get to talking, we all come to learn that Laura is prego. But she hasn't told Massimo yet.
Kocham cię, słyszysz?
It's a real couple.
A to dziecko wychowamy.
And as they're driving back from trying on wedding dresses, we also learn that a rival mafia family is going to assassinate Laura for whatever reason, probably because she forgot to color her eyebrows too, but hey, that's none of my business. But all the same, that brings us to the final scene of the movie.
Laura? Laura?
And, yeah, so that's that. But, like, real talk, this movie is maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like this makes 50 Shades look like a masterpiece. At the very least, 50 Shades sorta kinda makes sense about why characters do what they do. But in 365 Days, maybe it's the editing or something, I don't know, but it's just like a bunch of random events told chronologically. But putting them all together in one movie, it just kind of feels like trying to remember a dream you had after you took a little too much melatonin. There's not even really much else to say about it, except people will watch anything.
So there you have it. That is the 365 days breakdown. And let me tell you, I was actually very, very early on in this movie. Like, I was watching this movie even before it came out on Netflix. So I might have watched it like maybe 5, 7, 8 times before it even came out on Netflix. So yeah, I just found a video online and I really wanted to know the plot, the storyline first of all, and I was just like blown away. So before I actually ended up watching the movie itself, I kind of already had an idea of what it was going to be. And so in my mind, I had already built the plot itself. And that just, I feel like that helped me just think it was a great movie. Objectively speaking, no, it's not good. It's not a good movie. But, like I said, in my mind, I had already made up the entire script with just a couple YouTube videos that I had seen. So I saw the plot and everything, but all of this stuff happened within the span of 3 months. So for her to fall in love with him, I get that it's a movie and you have to shorten everything down, but I think there should have been more of a struggle. In actuality, this movie is not, I mean, let's be real, we're not watching it for the plot. We're watching it for the fantasy. Yes, it might be a dark, twisted fantasy, but a fantasy nonetheless, you know? Some of us like it a little harder. Some of us like it a little weirder. I don't judge. So needless to say, things got awkward really fast because I ended up watching this with a companion. I actually watched this with my little Gigi, and at the end of the movie we were just like, I feel like we're closer because of this. And we watched it together like three or four more times after the initial one, because the first one that we watched, it had no subtitles. The second one that we watched, it only had English subtitles and Italian subtitles. Then the third time that we watched it, it had the Polish, the Italian, and the English subtitles. So that was awesome. It took quite a little bit of digging, but we were able to find that. And even then, there were still pieces missing. So I didn't actually find out that Laura was pregnant until like the 5th time that I watched that. So it did, I would have to say that I watched some specific scenes more than others, you know. There were a few moments where I rewinded. We won't speak of like which specific scenes, I'm pretty sure we all know, but yes. And it blew up on TikTok, absolutely. Myself, I even posted a few thirsty traps all over Massimo. Like, just, dear gosh, it's a lot. So yeah, it was not a movie that I watched for the plot per se, because I already came up with my own version, so I wasn't really concerned. So even though I wasn't able to understand it the first couple times that I watched the movie, I created my own plot, and I think that's what made the movie better for me, is I was filling everything in as it was going. So I think that made a huge difference in my experience versus other people's experience, because I know, so I've talked to other people about this movie specifically, and other people just flat out, you know, think it was a bad movie, there was no plot, and yeah, you're not wrong. But alas, here we are. Okay, so this is gonna be like a humble brag, I think. Like, oh, you know. I actually dated someone who looks exactly like him. Like the actor that plays Massimo. Like, just the younger version of him. The guy that I dated had a more prominent nose, but literally all the features are exactly the same. Exactly the same. And he too was Italian, but he was Italian mixed with Middle East, like, origins. Like I said, I don't know if you guys have watched my story times, highly recommend, but I have a thing for Middle Eastern guys. That's just always been my thing. I like dark, tall, no, I like tall, dark, and handsome. And this guy was literally everything. So, little story time about that. When I first saw him, I couldn't pinpoint it, and there was this specific scene in the movie where everything just clicked. Okay, so there is this very specific scene where everything just clicked. So it's at the beginning when they're on the rooftop, and then all of a sudden it pans over to him and it's got his side profile, and literally, like, I screamed. And I was telling my cousin all about it. Like, Gigi, this is the guy. This looks exactly like the guy that I dated. Do you remember him? And I was trying to, like, remind her of him. And she's like, what? No? And, like, I showed her pictures. And she said, yes, that looks exactly like him. But even more freaky, it was absolutely freakish to me, because this is his doppelganger, and I could not handle it. I was ready to be like, I was ready to drop everything and be like, love me, say that you love me. Okay. Honestly, I was ready to risk it all and just be like, love me, choose me, love me. No, how does that TikTok thing go? So choose me, love me. No. How does that TikTok thing go? Oh, so pick me, choose me, love me. Oh my gosh. But yes, so I'm excessive, and there was this scene in the movie where they're going shopping, like at the very end, and literally, like, the exact image of my ex, the exact freaking image, and I just lost my mind. It's like, well, but then I remembered why he's my ex, and I just chucked it out the window. So it's like, oh yeah, that's why it didn't work out. Sometimes your personalities just aren't a good mix for each other. I'm a very goofy person. I don't take myself too serious, and he was a very, like, you know, type of person, and it wasn't gonna work out. There was a lot of miscommunication between the two of us. For some reason, I just have that effect on the Middle Eastern guys that I've dated. Like, piss them off real bad. And I'm like, why'd I piss you off? Like, what's happening here? But yes, it was gnarly, to say the least. And my gosh. Yeah. But I was ready to risk it for the biscuit, ladies. Especially after that movie, I was like, alright, just toss me around a bit. I'm kidding, of course. I'm happily taken, but, you know, for the memory. Okay, anyways, I am gonna get off before I get myself into trouble. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, If you would like to be a part of our family, connect with us on social media. Link is in the description box. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, pollitos!